Welcome to True Crime Tuesday, a very special Regis and Kelly edition. Tonight's episode is live from the studio of Jrama and Anti-Hero Podcast. Tonight we have a Delta Force operator versus a Green Beret and a true crime murder mystery right here on the Failure to Stop podcast channel. Stay tuned, baby.
The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on
This is
Sunday.
about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
Guys, up, giddy up. Good morning? That sounds so weird. Good morning for True Crime Tuesday night shift. I am live from Jrama's haunts. And it is haunting, to say the least. It is literally Halloween 24/7 here.
It is. You've got the Halloween memorabilia right behind you.
Yeah, I felt like some kind of spirit was going to visit me in the night. Like remember Ghostbusters when that happened?
Yeah.
That's not cheating. So I've always wanted it to happen, right? My wife says, like, she doesn't. Like, we have not had any conclusive evidence that that is cheating, because you can't really emotional cheat with a spirit.
I mean, they don't even physically exist,
So,
I guess
dude,
it's fair
you need to light
game.
more candles and do more shit next time I come over here, because I want to be visited by a spirit. But no, we are. I'm on my Hell Week journey. I was with conservative aunts in I don't even know where, Florida. And then we went down to the Skunk Ape Research Facility for Night Shift, Top Secret Information, which is its own podcast, still under the umbrella of Failure to Stop, but you won't find it on the Failure to Stop podcast channel. For those of you just tuning in, this Failure to Stop podcast channel, we do 5-6 shows a week now, all geared to keep first responders informed and entertained. And then we have 2 side shows that are on the media channel, which are Anti-Hero Podcast, which you're a producer of. Mm-hmm. And it's awesome. I was on their show last night. Yeah. Super fucking cool. And their studio is super cool.
It is.
Very cool. And then we also have we have Night Shift Top Secret Information. Night Shift, all one word. Top Secret Information with conservative aunt Anthony Ramondi. And I'm headed to Maryland after this morning.
Oh my
I will be driving from here, taking a pit stop, and then heading to Maryland to the Tim Pool podcast compound in Marylondo. So
have fun with that. The drive.
Yeah, I'm going to listen to a lot of podcasts. A lot of true crime, Jrama. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Failure to Stop. No, tonight's episode is brought to you by, I didn't even check today. Definitely GhostBed. And we got to go to the GhostBed facility yesterday. Pretty rad. I'm going to stop talking. It's so early in the morning, and I haven't had any coffee, and I've been podcasting for like 3 days straight. I'm going to stop talking. I'll do the ad reads in a minute.
Yeah.
Take over for me.
I don't know how you're functioning right now.
This is ridiculous.
We were going to film it last night, and it was like...
I couldn't.
Yeah, no. I don't
couldn't
see
do
how
it.
you would have been able to.
Yeah, I was so tired. I was in the car 8 hours yesterday, 4 hours the day before, and 13 hours the day before that.
No.
It's too much.
No, that is way too fucking much.
Too fucking much. But I got to go to the Skunk Ape Research Facility.
Yeah.
Learn all about Skunk Ape.
He's something, isn't he?
Well, he may or may not be something. I don't know. I'll tell you this, though. The Everglades are the armpit of the universe. I grew up in Florida. I'd never been to the Everglades. I've been to Okeechobee. Mm-hmm. I've been to Miami. Been to Key West. Never been to the actual Everglades.
Yeah.
At the very most southern non-island part of Florida. Yo, that is a true crime heaven.
Oh, there's probably a fuck ton of bodies out there.
You would never find them.
No.
You would never. It is like the Serengeti desert, but all swamp.
With gators and snakes.
I've never seen a flatter, more highly vegetated shithole in my life. The mosquitoes are like the size of a human. Yeah. If you murdered somebody on the side of the road there, it would take 30 minutes for the body to be completely consumed by mosquitoes, alligators, snakes,
It's frightening. That's why when the Brian Landry thing happened, and they were
Yeah.
getting off topic, but
No, that's totally on topic.
so he was found like not that long after he went missing or whatever,
Right.
and he was reported to be skeletal remains, and everyone was like, it's not him because there's no way someone could become a skeleton. That I'm like, he's in the swamp, like he was out in South Florida, like in the swamp. Absolutely, he could have been.
Yo, it was intense. We saw a 24-foot python.
No.
It's the second largest python living that's been caught. This guy had it in the back of his shed at the skunk ape facility. Just like in the back of this barn.
I thought you were going to say some guy had it in his shed.
Well, he is just some guy. He just calls this barn the skunk ape research facility. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's a long drive, but it's cool. I mean, if you're in South Florida, you got to go for sure. It's an experience, but it's very like that dude could kill you, and nobody would know he killed you. And he's kind of sus, as the kids say.
Maybe I should interview him.
Oh, you should. Like he'd be rad. He's an entertaining guy, but like I'm not sure that I am. It would be one of those things where if he took you out on a tour in the bush, you would be at his mercy. Like he could have his way, whatever he wants to do. Mm-hmm. Whether it's feed you to an alligator or like one of those deliverance, squeal like a pig type sitches, this dude could have. I mean, you're not getting out without him.
Oh yeah.
So if he has a heart attack on the tour, you're done. You're like,
he kind of sounds like the Joe Exotic.
He is. He really is. Nobody's gonna find you though, and you're not gonna find your way back. You can't even see a helicopter out of that shit. I'm not even kidding you. Listen, I've done all the land nav courses in the military. I've been in some thick draws, brush. I've never seen terrain like this, unsurvivable. I remember as a kid, I think it was like Cortez, was one of the, and I might be wrong. So if you're a historian, you can send us a DM to True Crime Jrama.
Yes.
Jarama, Jrama, and you can tell me who it was, but I think it was Cortez, and his goal was to get from like St. Augustine, Florida, to the other side of Florida. But they went missing. They never found them. And I was like, and they went out with like 200 or 300 dudes.
Holy shit.
And I remember as a kid thinking like,
they all went missing?
Yeah, they never found any of them. And I'm like, how does 200 to 300 people never make it to the other side of Florida? And they sailed a ship up and down the coast.
Yeah.
Trying to find them on the other side. They just never showed up. And now I'm like, yo, they wouldn't, once you get into that, once you've made the commitment to get in. Yeah. And that, like, what kind of compass? I don't even know how you would use the stars because you couldn't see them.
You can't see them at night?
Not inside that brush. It's
oh, that's right.
It's like a can. It would be like, I mean, it's thicker than a rainforest. I mean, we're talking, we were talking about how you'd have to cut your way through it, obviously. Mm-hmm. And it's not like anything you've seen on the movies. It's not like some kind of African jungle where you take one swipe and a whole bunch of leaves fall. Like this knotty, thorny, cypress weave of, I mean, you could probably, I mean, I'm not exaggerating. With a machete, I would say that you could probably move 3 miles a day if you were really, really working hard.
Cooking.
And that was like, you would have to be, you'd have to have food, water, and it was hotter than Satan's asshole down there. I triple digits. It's fall. It's triple digits down there in the fall.
It's miserable here, and we're like in the central part of the state, so I can only fucking imagine.
Dude, you're easy 12 degrees cooler right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't see... it takes a real man to survive out there. I'm not that guy.
It makes me think of all the Native Americans that just lived.
So they're there. They're still there.
Yeah.
Dude, it's bizarre. They have like straw huts, Indian huts.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Like, you'll be out in the middle. It's like you'll be 80 miles. No, not 80, but like you'll be 20, 30 miles into the 2-lane road. Yeah. With just this thick wall of swamp vegetation on both sides of you. Nobody, not a human, not a gas station. That's what I say. It's like, what if you break down out here? Like, who the fuck's coming to get you?
You're done.
You're done, dude. We saw a pair of shoes is in the middle of the road. I was like, true crime happened right there. Like, that's part of a missing persons case for sure.
Shit.
It'll never be found, and I'm not stopping.
Yeah.
No way, no how. And then all of a sudden, you'll see like a gap in the tree line, and it'll be like an Indian hut, like 3 of them together.
That's weird.
So
That's
they're
wild.
like the big straw, like what
Yeah.
you would see in the movies. And so when we got to skunk ape, I was like, yo, what's up with all these? Like, those are Indians. And I'm like, yo,
That's crazy.
are they cannibals?
We,
I'm getting cannibal vibes out here.
I mean, up where we're at, I'm sure you're familiar with the Ocala National Forest.
Yeah.
That place is pretty fucking wild too, and they've got like not Native Americans but rainbow people is what they call them.
What?
You ever heard of them?
No.
They're like an underground like rainbow coalition type society.
Like
And-
gay?
No,
Because the gays have the rainbow. They're going to sue them for...
they had it first.
No, they're going to sue. The gays are going to sue. They're going to come after these rainbow people. They can't be stealing the rainbow.
Well, they live in the woods, and they there's like a big thing where like the deep state or Illuminati or whoever has infiltrated them, and it's created a human trafficking ring.
Oh.
And they just live there, and we would run into them all the time when I was growing up, just going in the woods, and they'll chase you down. And I mean,
What are they doing out there?
Scary, living and doing drugs.
Are they naked?
No, they're not. Well,
I
some
feel
of
like
them are.
Rainbow people would be naked.
Some of them are.
Ocala's a weird place.
It is a very.
That's
weird
where you grew
place.
up?
Right.
Slow Cala?
Not in Ocala. I grew up in a town called Umatilla, but it's like
Yeah, for sure. That's even shittier.
right. Yeah. It's very shitty.
Dude, I literally like one of the top 10 worst places I've ever visited. Ocala for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that Ocala's worse than the Everglades because at least the Everglades have the skunk ape research facility.
There's a Bigfoot research facility in the Ocala National Forest.
Okay.
There's a guy that does.
I didn't know
It's
that.
just like the skunk ape guy. It's
I
not as
didn't know that.
elaborate, but it's there.
Oh, the skunk ape is not elaborate at all. But there is a 24-foot python.
Yeah, I don't know if we have.
I've
that
never
in
seen a
Ocala.
24-foot python. I've never seen a 6-foot python. It's the biggest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I like
300
snakes, but
pounds or
that's-
something like
That's
that.
too much.
Dude, that's a lot of snake.
That's way too much.
That's a lot of snake.
I don't like that much snake. I prefer.
Yeah, that's
smaller
what she
snake.
said.
Okay, we should probably start talking about our true crime. thing.
True crime. We've got we got Delta Force versus Green Beret. Listen, if you're feeling frosty and you're a Green Beret and you want to do some real land nav, some real man survival shit, head down to the Everglades. Let's see how you do down there. I'm not sure that you would even make it. Go ahead. What you got
Okay.
with this shit? I gotta find out who's our sponsors today, by the way.
So today, like Tansey just said, Delta Force versus Green Beret. Our victim in this case is Sergeant First Class Mark Leshikar. Was a decorated Green Beret. He sustained a TBI, and while he was recovering, he was on desk duty essentially at Fort Bragg. So, him and his best friend, Master Sergeant William Lavigne, he was Delta Force, and he was in a similar predicament where he was on like a desk job. So, I don't remember the circumstances behind that, but him and Mark were like inseparable, best friends.
The Delta and the Green Beret?
Yes.
All right, so there's a lot of people who are like, what is a Delta Force
Yeah,
versus
please
Green Beret?
interject because you have more knowledge than I do on this stuff.
Well, I don't, but I think it's probably fair because people are like, what's Delta Force?
Right,
What's
right.
a Navy SEAL? What's a Green Beret? So they don't know. I was in the 20 Special Forces group, which was a Green Beret unit. Green Beret is the Army's version of Special Operations, and they're usually Tier 2. And there's there's generally speaking 3 tiers of Special Operations. You have Tier 1, which is your Delta Force guys and your SEAL Team 6 guys. These are the guys that take down Saddam Hussein and Bin Laden and al-Soleimani and al-Baghdadi. Then you have Tier 2, which are Green Berets and Navy SEALs, typically speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And your Green Berets and your Navy SEALs, the difference between a Green Beret and a Navy SEALs, a Navy SEAL does quick reaction, like hostage takedowns. They're in, they're out, and they bounce. And it's like a fish out of water, essentially. Sometimes they can be out of the water, just not very long. They need to get their ass back to that boat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But a Green Beret's mission is to, although they are both land, sea, and air, they are both scuba, halo, hey-ho, airborne, waterborne operators. So they can traverse. But generally speaking, a Green Beret is an embedded, landlocked force multiplier. And his job is to parachute or swim or infill into a region and train and destabilize the government. So train civilians to help destabilize the government. It's very manipulative type stuff. It's very covert, clandestine. But they are masters of chaos is what they're called. Masters of chaos. They create chaos. But they also can do humanitarian things as well. But generally speaking, Green Berets are embedded to find indigenous folks to rise up against their governments and to attack. Think about the Mujahideen or the Montagnards in Vietnam. And then your Navy SEALs, they're the ones that are just like going in, direct action, hit the door, sneak in, rescue, whatever. So that's the difference. So now you have Delta Force and Green Berets. Your Delta Force are just going to be the most baddest of the ass Green Berets, which that's not even true because it's just a different mission.
Sure.
They are also hostage takedown, but Delta Force is like, they are like the inland hostage. They're always competing versus SEAL Team 6. And then you have another Tier 1 unit called the 2-4 STS, which is pararescue and combat controllers. That's the Air Force side, and they're brand new. So, and then you have Tier 3, which are your Rangers, and your 160th SOAR, which are your helicopter pilots that are in special operations.
Okay.
And then the Navy side of Tier 3 would be SWIC, which is like your small boat.
Okay.
Fucking teams. Today's show is brought to you, though, by factormeals.com. Meal prepping made way too easy. Easy, steezy meal prepping. We love factormeals.com. You can choose from over 300 different menu items online. If you use that promo code WOLFPACK50, it's going to get you 50% off your first week. The way it works is that these are meals made by chefs and shipped to your door, fresh and never frozen. They come in this awesome box with some dry ice, and dry ice just keeps everything really cool. You move it from the box to your refrigerator, pop it in a microwave, and in 2 minutes, these are not TV dinners at all. These are like real deal meals that were prepared by a chef. Like when you order the bacon ranch chicken with the sides, like it's a whole dish. It's a whole freaking plate of food that you're going to put in the microwave that's never been frozen at all. And it's real deal food. It's so good. So while you're in your squad room, you're in your first responder shack, everybody's eating like a peasant. You're eating like, you're eating high class. You ain't even eating middle class. And it's like the same price as the grocery. By the time you take the time to go to the grocery store, you get the shrimp and you get the chicken, you get the bacon, and you cook it all and you meal prep for the whole week. You can get 3 meals a week and 7 meals a week. However many shifts you have, shipped right to your door. You just get online at the beginning of the week, pick out what you want. It's going to get shipped to you all in one swoop, put it all in the refrigerator, and your meal prep for the week. It's literally delivered the same week that you order it. So you can get it on a schedule. It's absolutely incredible. And we also have Manscaped. And thank God for Manscaped because me wife had a baby 6 weeks ago. Today, 6 weeks.
Oh.
That's the magic number. Can't have sex for 6 weeks after the baby's been born. And I've been in Florida for 4 days. So guess who's going home to have sex? I am. So I had to manscape while I was on the road. Manscaped at Conservative Ant's house. Clogged up his shower because it's been 6 weeks. But today, we're here with sponsor for your bouncing bundle of joy. No, we're not talking about a baby. We're talking about your baby makers. That's right. Today's show is brought to you by Manscaped. But just like babies, your delicate little guys have sensitive skin and deserve products that are not only skin safe, but made with safe ingredients. That's where Manscaped Platinum Package comes in. From razors to shower care, the package goes above the gold standard for your body and your hair. So treat your beautiful boys to the world's. I ain't calling my girls. I don't know why. But anyway, find his toys at manscaped.com using our promo code WOLFPACK for 20% plus free shipping. The Manscaped Platinum Package 4.0 is a one-stop shop for the man who deserves it all. You got the ball deodorant. Do you use ball deodorant?
Yeah.
Deodorant for your bowels?
Yeah, every day.
Bro, so the ball deodorant sounds weird, but when you put it on, your bowels don't stick to the sides of your leg. You're not having to peel the skin of your bowels off the side of your leg. It's got the conditioner, the toner, the anti-chafing boxers, which are best. The fucking shed travel bag. You saw my shed travel bag today.
That's nice.
I yanked that thing. It's leather. It's all nice. You know, I even had the 4.0 trimmer. It's got the light, the LED light, so I can fucking mow in the dark. It's water resistant, dude. So you do it in the shower in the dark. And it's got that skin safe Nick technology. So you're you just get all in it real crazy. That way, if you've had a couple of brewskis in you before you go in there, Manscaped, you're going to be okay. It's got the 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner, which keeps this mullet fresh and smelling fresh. Not like a Trader Joe's hippie. That's what I hate about Trader Joe's is everybody's hair stinks.
I've never been into a Trader Joe's, but I'll take your word for it.
Dude, the people there just look like they smell bad. Platinum Package 4.0 covers all the bases from head to toe. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code WOLFPACK at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with shipping, manscaped.com. Promo code WOLFPACK. Use the Platinum Package, and it's quarter 4. So that's the Christmas quarter. So we have a lot of ad reads. We don't have a lot. We have 3. We have one more. I'm going to save it because it's my favorite. It's officerprivacy.com/Wolfpack. Officerprivacy.com/Wolfpack. You don't want to subscribe to Officer Privacy after it's too late. You have to do this now before you have a critical incident, and your address and your church and your thing, it's all over the interwebs. And right now there's a special promo for officerprivacy.com, and that's officerprivacy.com/Wolfpack. And then you can have a peace of mind. And listen, now where I like this gift is that if you have a son-in-law or a daughter-in-law that's a cop or a first responder or works for the Fed boys, or something like that, or as like is an influencer, get them a subscription to officerprivacy.com. And what Officer Privacy is going to do for them is going to scrub their immediate address. It's going to scrub where they go to church. It's going to monitor and identify the interwebs for these key addresses so that nobody can find you. You can't get swatted, so to speak.
Yeah.
Big deal. But here's the thing is like, you're like, well, I don't need that. Well, when you shoot somebody, especially in election season, or you're involved in election cheating, it's too late. They've already got your address and they're coming for you. They're going to protest. I personally did security at one of my best friend's house while I was a cop. He got an officer involved shooting, and I was paid for 5 days to stay at his home and just get the media away. But it was the protesters. It was the weird drive-bys, the slow rollers that wanted to intimidate you. We had shifts going on, looking out the windows constantly to make sure. He had to change where he went to church. He had to change where he went to CrossFit. He had to change where he went to jiu-jitsu because people were waiting for him in the parking lot, harassing him everywhere he went. They would follow him all around, honking the horn behind him. Imagine the fear of his family.
Yeah.
Had he had officer privacy, or had it existed back then, that wouldn't have happened. It's very important. I know it's cheesy. So I know that cops are really not going to buy this for themselves because we're too stubborn. So that's what I'm saying. If you got a son-in-law, you got a daughter-in-law, you got a friend, you just want to do something nice for a first responder, this is a gift that they absolutely need, but nobody really wants to buy it. Nobody wants to spend that hard-earned blue-collar money, but it's absolutely needed. So make it a gift. It's like a life insurance policy. Give them that gift. Very inexpensive for a great peace of mind. And that is the last ad read, I promise. That's it.
Okay.
I have no more. This is this is you the rest of the fucking show.
All right.
You guys ready for some real true crime murder and mayhem?
All right, so I've introduced our characters in this case, and they, like I was saying, best friends. They lived in the same apartment complex. Mark's wife said that every night that they would do dinners and stuff. They called him Billy, so Billy and Mark were always just together. You know, that group's a tight-knit group anyway, but they just did everything as a family together. So in March of 2018, they decide to go down to Disney World to celebrate one of the girls' birthday. Billy and Mark had 2 daughters, both the same age. Okay. So they went down, spent some time at Disney World, and they're driving back. Billy's driving back to Fort Bragg. And while they're driving, Mark's wife says that Billy's texting her, like, Mark's acting weird, he's being paranoid, he's doing all this crazy shit. Now, just to remind you, he was recovering from a TBI, and when you have a TBI, sometimes you do get a little weird, or you have episodes. He was on prescription meds, and I think it was like tramadol, and then he would self-medicate with Valium and stuff like that. You know, the typical story, unfortunately.
Yes. And like special operations have because they have like paramedics, like 18 Deltas. These are like flight surgeons. They have access to obscene amounts, like without like nobody knowing. Like Ambien, get it like that.
There's no one checking them.
Yeah, there's like you can go right to your Delta medic and be like, yo, I need some Valium. I need some, amphetamine.
So Mark was self-medicating. He was also prescribed, and Billy also was a drug user. They were both known to use cocaine at some point, and it just, I mean, maybe you can speak on that culture a little bit, but that is a problem in the military, is the drug use, partially because of the meds that they're getting prescribed for, like every little thing. They just throw pills at you, and like you were saying, they've got really easy access to it.
Well, the reason why is because you go through this 2 years of training. Now, to be Delta Force, you're talking like 4 years of training, and that's 4 years away from your family. That you're like a truck driver. You're just in and out. You're a ghost in the night. You come home, you see your kids for 48 hours, and you're gone for 6 weeks. You come home for 24 hours. You're gone for 3 weeks. You come home for 3 days. You're gone for 12 weeks. And that's your life for 4 years. And you're going to these intense schools, Halo school. You're going to dive school. You're going to pre-scuba, and then you're going to scuba. Then you're, and then you gotta qualify on all these too. So it's like once you're Halo qualified, once you're combat dive certified, every 6 months to a year, you got to do a night dive. You got to do a day dive. You got to do a night jump. You got to do a day jump. Then you've got to do all your qualifications with your weapons: pistol, rifle, machine guns, 50 calibers, machine guns, grenade launchers. I mean, it is unfathomable how much knowledge these dudes have. There's really very little room for family. I like that how they preach it and stuff, but that's really not true. A lot of these guys, most of the men in the community are cheating on their wives. I hated it. I was a part of the culture. It's very difficult not to, because everybody's doing it. You are the most elite dude. You've got shredded abs. You've got an ego soaring. You've got adrenaline just from just rock climbing, practice operations, kicking indoors. You've got this bravado about you that when you walk in, it's like you are an alpha everywhere you go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost like I don't want to say primal. It is, but it is. It's like
these dudes are Spartans. Like it's like, oh, a woman, take this woman. You know, like there wasn't really much a marriage, and so on the down low, on the downtime, then they go into combat, and combat is slow. But they need this. And you're like in a prison when you're deployed sometimes. You can't just like walk off of a post. You can't just go do what the fuck you want. Right. You're stuck within like, 300, 2,000 square foot area with a tent that you're monitored. If you go out and, we call it going out in Indian territory, you can't go in there. So there's, if there's a chance to do drugs to pass the time, let's do these drugs. If you're hurt, you start self-medicating to get through these trainings because you can't fail.
You can't stop. Yeah.
You got to self-medicate, and then that's going to lead to addiction. And when they find out how easy it is, and it's like, then there's the depression because you're cheating on your wife. Yeah. There's the depression because your wife's cheating on you. There's depression because, which by the way, true story, happened to me while I was in the course. And the girl I was with was cheating on me and then got pregnant with the other dude's babies. So there was no working that out. That's depressing. And so like, and then, your family life sucks. Your kids fucking grow up to be cheese balls. It's like, here you are just a super badass, and your little kid is fucking suffering. It's 40, 50 pounds overweight, stuck on a screen all day. And as a man, you're like, oh, well, I can't fix that because I'm doing this. So fuck it. And it just perpetuates.
It's a cycle.
And then it's a cycle. And then they get fucking really fucked up on drugs all the time.
That's what Mark's wife and sister, Nicole, said about their mentality, Mark and Billy's. Mark was like outwardly more like excited to do the job, and he was really excited to train and go on deployments and stuff. And Billy was a little more Mark's sister described him as like tormented, like dark, and he would drink and get really, really sad. Like he had some mental issues going on, and she said that was not really normal for that group of guys. Like he was kind of an outlier with that.
Yeah.
And she always thought it was kind of weird, but didn't really take much note of it.
Well, I've met a few of them that are like that.
Yeah.
Where they just, and listen, I've got one that's a really close friend. He's a Green Beret, and I mean, he cannot stop thinking about the people he's killed. Cannot get over it. Can't stop thinking about it. And every couple of months, I'm the one that's getting the messages. Like
that was Billy.
Blah blah blah, and he's just fucking hammered. But you're at the same time, you're like, dude, if he's in a bad state, he could easily off himself right now.
Yes.
If I don't say the right things or do the right things, but also. These are the guys you can't go and like Baker Act these guys.
Oh,
because then you're talking like,
it's going to be a problem.
You don't want to cut the cop. You're like, I'll just let Billy kill himself.
It's going to be a problem.
I don't want him to kill cops. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just let this motherfucker work this out, or he
Yes.
doesn't. But I'm not going to put a cop's life at risk trying to deal with him right now.
So yeah, and so that was their mental state. The day that they were driving back from Disney, where Billy was texting Mark's wife Laura that Mark was acting paranoid, irrational. He thought that there were people following him. He was like asking Billy a bunch of questions to make sure that he was actually Delta Force and not some sort of like spy. They think it was because they were involved in drugs, and it was becoming a problem where other people were starting to notice, and he was afraid that he was going to lose everything. Because to an extent, the military turns a blind eye, but if you go a little too overboard, there's really not much they can do, and they were getting to that point.
Well, they're
apparently.
not going to help you.
No,
They're never going to help you.
Nope.
Once they find out that there's something wrong with you, especially in special operations, I mean, the fear of never to return is such a big deal. And I know guys that have been tricked and duped, and I've preached it 1,000 times. Get help if you need get help. There's one dude that's fighting right now. I'm not going to say his name, but maybe I'll put it on our Instagram if I get his permission. But he's actually advocating because he said, I need to take 2 weeks of leave for mental wellness. And he went down to Fort Benning, prescribed by the VA, to go to a clinic for 2 weeks and get right. Mm-hmm. He comes back, goes back to work. He's feeling good. And they're like, yo, we just found out, like, this is like a week or so later. They're like, yo, on your 2 week leave, where did you go? And he's like, I went to an in-treatment program on Fort Benning, prescribed by the VA. And they're like, yo, you can't be.
Oh my God.
You can't be in this unit if that's what's going on. And they fucking kicked him out.
And that's like, talk about throwing them right back into their fucking crisis.
Right. You use and abuse, right?
It's horrible. But yeah, we could talk the entire time about that.
But you know what though? and at the end of the time, you're like, man, that sounds sad and everything. But like, I think when you go into something like this, you have to know that this is what you're getting into, and this is a life you chose. You chose to be away from your family, so maybe don't have one. You chose to be away from your wife, so maybe let's not have one right now. Right. It is a very selfish industry. Green Berets, Delta Force. My best friend of all time is Tier 1. My best friend of all time. I own a distillery with him. He's Tier 1. Mm-hmm. He is the only exception. He's the only guy that I have seen that's able to do both, and it breaks his heart. Yeah. He is perpetually sad that he's away from his kids, but he's the best at his job. Tier 1, there's nobody else out there like him. I think he's got qualifications that it's really like him and maybe two other people in the world that can do it. I know he jumps in like FBI agents, Halo jumps. He's got many combat jumps, dives. I mean, he's been on all of America's Most Elite missions. He was on the B team for the Bin Laden raid. He was on the backup team for that. And so just all these Bo Bergdahl, all these missions that he was a part of in some way or another. And it's very, very difficult for these dudes. So I always say, like, when you get into this shit, you either need to, you just got to ask yourself, what's the most important thing in life? What do I want to be known for? Do I want to be known as being a Navy SEAL in a Tier 1 unit? Do I want to be known as being Delta Force? Or do I want to be known as being a good father or a good wife? Do I want to be known as both? You know, how am I going to manipulate this? Am I doing it for 4 years or 5 years? But there's so many questions that need to be asked. And they need to be real conversations. It can't just be like, man, I want to be a Green Beret and I've got what it takes and I'm going to go do it. That's only like 1% of that battle. The other part of it is
surviving it.
And dude, it takes influencer level, like these David Goggins. It takes a David Goggins level of commitment to maintain the professional standards of that community and to be a good father and a good husband.
Yeah.
We're talking like you got to wake up every day and be like, oh, I'm going to be the best dad in the world. Nobody's going to be a better dad in the world than me. And I'm going to be an awesome and elite soldier. And it's like I don't know how they do it. But generally speaking, that is a very selfish, ego-driven, rightfully so. That's
needs
how I
to
want
be.
my killers.
Yep.
That's how I want them.
It has to be.
I want them a little rapey, a little fucking, you know what I mean, savage, because that's going to keep me
That's
from...
going to get the job done.
Yeah, I'm not going to be speaking Chinese in 10 years because of these fucking dudes. But they're like, real deal Spartans. They really are real life Spartans.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a weird balance too, because like you were saying, that mentality and that little bit of the savagery of it is necessary for the job, but at the same time, the military doesn't want to publicly associate that with, like, the Army's not going to be like, yeah, our guys go over there and do all these horrible things, but don't you feel better? Like, they're not. So these guys get stuck in this weird, like you were saying, a cycle where they're dealing with the aftermath of all this savagery with no backup, pretty much.
None.
And it's really, really sad.
And no more savagery.
Yeah, so they're
Like
just
when
sitting
you're
there
home,
like,
you're like, fuck.
I mean, these guys were on desk duty.
Yeah.
That's hard.
And embarrassing.
That sucks.
You're an alpha sitting at a desk going, can I speak to Lieutenant Colonel? I'm, base wife Sally Joe, and my husband was forced to do push-ups as a PX. They're probably like, bitch.
Our rank is...
I'm the most fucking elite motherfucker.
God. Well, we could talk about that for a really long time.
The base Karens.
Yeah. So...
Dependoponymouses.
So Mark's wife, Laura, after hearing all these things from Billy, she FaceTimes him and he checks on him. And she said that he was normal, happy, like, oh, can't wait. They had their daughter, so they're like, oh, we're just driving. Can't wait to see you, miss you, blah, 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 that good stuff. So she didn't really think much of it. She said that they would play pranks like that on her a lot, where they would text her and be like, oh, so-and-so is freaking out or having like an episode or like, what the fuck?
That's a fucking...
I know. So she kind of ignored it. They make their way back to Fayetteville, and they're at Billy's house. They start working on a car in the driveway, and somehow or another it devolves into an argument.
Sure.
Billy and Mark start arguing. They start wrestling. They get physical. Billy runs into his house, locks the door behind him with his and Mark's 5-year-old daughters inside. And Mark's daughter, she's scared because Uncle Billy is acting a little erratic, and him and her dad were just fighting, and she can hear her dad, Mark, screaming outside the front door, pounding on the door, trying to get in, so she unlocks the door. Mark comes in, and what happens next is disputed amongst family members. Officially, on record, it's not disputed. On record, what happens is Mark enters the home, continues the altercation with Billy, and Billy takes a .45 caliber handgun and shoots him 3 times, killing him. So, Mark is now dead. Billy calls 911. Law enforcement shows up. He gives them this story that him and Mark were fighting. They were wrestling. It was escalating. Mark was out of his mind, allegedly. And Mark took a screwdriver and was trying to attack him in the home. And that's why he shot and killed him. During the investigation, there was no screwdriver located. Medical examiner, checked the body. Crime scene came. There was no screwdriver. It was out by the car still. So when they examined Mark's body, the medical examiner realizes that he was shot 3 times. One of them was through the back. So he had fallen to the floor after the first few shots, and Billy shot him in the back.
Dang, Billy.
I know. So Billy gives a couple of different stories to other people, not just law enforcement. He tells Nicole, Mark's sister, because Billy and Nicole were pretty close. He tells her that Mark wasn't himself. He's like, that was not my best friend, and he needed to be put down. Those were his words.
Like a rabid dog.
Like a dog. Yeah. Obviously, he's got his story for law enforcement. And then I think he tells a couple of their friends that Mark shot himself, and then immediately retracts it and sticks with the screwdriver story.
Right.
So things aren't really adding up here. I mean, even if you are in a physical altercation.
Yeah, it's your best friend. Like
best friend, and these guys are trained. I mean, you should
Sure.
you should know. Like, a fight's going to end, and you guys are going to be friends afterwards. You're going to get a beer.
for sure.
You don't need to shoot somebody.
No.
Laura did mention, too, while she was on the phone with Billy at some point, that because he called her while Mark was still outside trying to get into the house. She said that Billy sounded drunk.
Oh, for sure.
He sounded super out of it.
Yeah.
And so she was telling Mark, like...
Nobody's working on a car without a couple of brews.
Right. You just came back from a family vacation. You're feeling good. You're waiting for your family to show back up. And, yeah, they probably had a couple of drinks. But Laura was saying that, you know, he sounded extremely incoherent. And she called Mark and told Mark to stay there because he was going to go pick her up.
Right.
Because she didn't want to leave the girls alone
Okay.
with Billy. Anyway, so the investigation continues. There's really not a lot of information about it, naturally.
Sure.
But the investigators ruled it a justifiable homicide. How? I'm not really quite sure.
Was there witnesses?
The girls.
So, I mean,
girls,
maybe they were basing off the girls' stories that Mark was
It could be.
coming at him. And being that Mark is a Delta Force operator, you could say that he himself is a fucking weapon.
So, Mark's daughter, there's not really anything about Billy's daughter, but Mark's daughter made a statement initially that Uncle Billy was acting weird. She was scared. Him and her dad were fighting. And she unlocked the door to let her dad in because he was screaming. And then she said that she heard the gunshots, and that was it. That's the only thing.
You know, it makes me wonder, and I don't know the rest of the story. I'm sure we're going to hear it. But, like, I wonder if the conversation was like, yo, you're acting crazy. Like, knock it off. We're not going to talk about the drugs that we, you know, like Iran-Contra stopped type shit. Or, you know, maybe they did something, you know, and they're like, the dude was like, I'm just going to go and come out with it. And he's like, no, the fuck you're not. You're not going to fucking tell anybody, motherfucker. Like, shut the fuck up. And then, like, no, you bitch. He's like, no, I'm going in there. I'm going to fucking do it. And then, like, that's what, you know what I mean? It almost sounds like the movie, like, maybe that's a little movie version, but, like, right? Doesn't it feel like
So
they did something nefarious and it's haunting them?
Yeah, Mark's sister believes that it had to do with the drugs. She said that Mark,
a Green Beret just recently got caught with fuck tons of dope. It was like I don't remember, like 600 pounds or something like that.
I think I heard about that.
Something
That's a lot.
Crazy, dude. It was something crazy.
And you know, if you have that much at one given time, you've been doing that shit for a long ass time.
Yeah, you don't start off with that.
No.
But Iran-Contra was the same way. They were coming back with fuck tons of shit. Yeah, that's wild.
So Nicole thinks that again, Mark's sister.
Wait, can I just pause you right there?
Yeah.
A lot of people are thinking like, well, how are these Green Berets doing that? You know how much blow is in this country? I mean, like, you can't go anywhere to any nightclub. Just go to a nightclub and just know that there's more blow in that nightclub, and then times that by every nightclub in the United States. So that blow has got to get in here in massive amounts somehow.
Yeah.
And all the elites are doing blow. I've said it 1,000 times on my show. It blew my mind how many celebrities I've hung out with. And I listen, at this point, I don't even hate on them for doing it. I don't do blow. I've never tried it. I have been around it a lot, and I've seen a lot of people do it, and they're not bad people. They're good people, but a lot of people in the higher industries that make a lot of money are doing blow, and that's because they party till 3 a.m. and they want to be a good parent, and so they take a little Tootsie at 6 o'clock when they wake up instead of drinking coffee. Like, it's literally, and then they're normal, and nobody knows that, you know, they do coke.
Yep.
And so, but that coke has got to get here somehow. And when these Delta operators, they're working with elite fucking humans. I've got a buddy that's in Delta Force right now, and he is basically on full-time Secret Service duty. So he is in the limos with very high profile political elites, and he was telling me that they're doing crystal meth in those limos.
Oh.
And there are politicians.
Yeah.
He said, "Yo, we have pulled over. I have been told to get out and grab something from somebody, give them money, get back in the car, and next thing I know, they're all fucking doing crystal meth." And he's like, "Bro, they're all doing." He's like, "I cannot wait to get out of the military. I'm fucking done with this shit. This is the worst mission I've ever had. These political elites are absolutely dog shit." But you know what? So if you're in this community and you're running operations and you're going to these events, right? Like these big, and now I didn't see any blow at Valhalla, the Valhalla event. It's a very sacred event and it's very professional, and everybody there was professionals. And I don't think any of these guys suffer from these kind of problems. But it is an event that's really big and it's all tier 1 elites. There are other events that these tier 1 elites go to where there are celebrities there. And you know, so their influence is as much as anybody else. So people start, you know, they see the blow, they see that like everybody's doing it, and they're like, well, you know what? Like they keep us 3 or 4 days up on amphetamines. You know, they hit us up with, you know, Ritalin and you know, all sorts of shit to keep us, you know, alert and awake.
Right.
Like, what's the difference? What's the difference?
That's insane.
It's very easy to go down that path. So I'm wondering if these guys weren't, you know, muling. Or, you know, maybe they killed somebody, they, you know, maybe.
It's very possible.
You know, something.
It's very possible. Mark's sister thinks that Mark was trying to, because Billy was starting to go really far into that rabbit hole that you were just talking about. And Mark struggled with it a little bit, but he was trying to avoid getting completely sucked in, according to Nicole.
Yeah.
And she believes that Mark had a conversation with Billy, like, if you don't get this under control, I'm going to go tell somebody.
Yeah.
And Billy had other things going on that would have been found out.
Right.
And I believe that theory.
Yeah, it's a good theory.
It makes sense to me because of the other shit that happens later.
Very probable.
So, I mean, it just sucks that it had to come down to that. And Billy would always talk about, now again, it was a justifiable homicide.
Yeah.
So he wasn't imprisoned. This was in March of 2018 when this happened. He would talk about this a lot with everybody. It really bothered him. He got a tattoo in memorandum of him, which I think is a little tacky, but
sure,
you murdered him. So, but he felt true remorse.
Well, that's his stateside. He got a stateside kill, and that's a pretty big deal. You know what I mean? Like getting your stateside that's a level up. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
You got to get that tatted up on you. All my friends that have statesides all have a tattoo for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. But he stayed in touch with Nicole, not so much Laura, obviously.
Yeah, he did. You know, emotions are a crazy thing, dude.
I hear you.
Emotions are a crazy thing. They're like, I know this is really fucked up, but... I
mean, it's real life. Shit happens. There's no proof of that.
Wait, which one's Laura?
Laura is Mark's wife.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So, time goes on, and
I'm not saying they did, but I bet you, like...
Yeah.
Dude, that community is so fucked up, man. Like, everybody is so... And I'm not saying Laura is, I don't know her. She's probably an amazing human being. But, man, the debauchery that I saw in that community, you know, and, you know, people just don't want to fix, you know, here's the thing is everybody knows it happens. Mm-hmm. Like, they know that there is a culture of infidelity and this, and nobody wants to address it. Right. Nobody wants to talk about it. And nobody wants real solutions to fix it. And the professionalism, you know, the quiet professionals, you know, how am I supposed to trust you with my life? And you're my brother, but your wife can't even trust you to go out and not fuck around on her. It's a very weird dynamic. And I was a part of it. Listen, because I got sucked into it too. It wasn't until I was in my mid-30s until I met my wife now. I've been married for 13 years, and I realized what real marriage is, what real relationships are, what being a good father is. You know, I learned all that from, you know, from my wife and from just being in love with her and wanting to do the right thing. But, you know, when I was in my 20s and going through the program, like I was sucked in and everybody was doing it. So I wanted to be cool. And I just thought like, oh, well, like a girl's lucky to be with me.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's lucky that she's even with me because I can have
Right.
anybody I want. And I should be able to have anybody. I fucking, I'm a 2-time combat veteran. I should be able to, I deserve this.
Yeah.
You have this like weird, twisted sense of.
I can understand. I mean, not understand it.
I mean, look at what
firsthand, but-
Rob O'Neill's going through right now. Like, and he's even getting on his podcast and talking about it, where he was like, when you do these bad things, you got to cope with it. But he's still, and I got nothing against the guy, but like, I can see his podcast. I'm hearing the words that are coming out of my mouth and what he's saying. And I think what everybody that's not like brainwashed by sucking on the teats of a trident is you're saying like, yo, you haven't learned from this. Like you're just making another excuse.
Yep.
Like somebody needs to sit you down and say like, you're a Navy SEAL, dog. Fix your shit.
He's riding off of that.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Like, no, you don't get to have this problem right now. Yeah, you did kill people. You signed up for it. You fucking asked for it. No Navy SEAL becomes a Navy SEAL not thinking they're going to not fucking kill somebody.
That's
what
job.
they want.
Yeah.
So don't go kill somebody and then be all boo-hoo about it. You got to figure that out. You figured out dive school. You figured out Halo school. What happens at Halo school when you couldn't get your arch right or whatever? What happened when you were going to the mortar school and you couldn't get your mathematics right? You went home and you worked on it. You studied. You doubled down and you fixed the problem.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah, stop
Double
whining
down
about it.
and fix the problem. Well, how do I get rid of this alcohol problem? Well, I do it because I kill people and I'm having nightmares. Okay, how are we fixing those nightmares? I'll just start fixing. I don't know. Listen, I don't want to pretend like I know how to fix the problems of these elite soldiers. I don't have that answer. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a doctor. I'm a C student at best. But what I'm saying is that where there's a will, there is a way, as cliche as that is. And these dudes, it's not preached to them to get that fixed. It's preached to them that, oh, thank you for your service.
Yep.
And they take that as, that's the attention I want. So I'm going to keep going for this. Oh, you killed people. Oh, they just want a fucking hug. That's what it is.
Yeah, and it's like when you have a platform
Give
like
him a hug.
I'm just using Rob as an example.
Rob, come. If you want to hug, homie, let's do it. Let's hug this shit out, bro. Anytime you need that validation, that thank you for your service,
Hey, Brent offered already.
call me, dude. I'll hug you. Listen, I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way. Rob O'Neill, I think he's an incredible American hero. I hate seeing what he's going through, especially because there's these kids that are in high school that are looking at his podcast. There's these college kids that want to graduate and they want to be Navy SEALs. And what they see is, oh, well, I've got to have this issue because even the most elitist one in the world, he has that issue. So that's just part of the game. So when I do this, I'm going to have those issues. That as weird as that sounds,
They're gonna create their own
that's
hell.
what I mean. I remember being a young dude looking up to all these Green Berets. I was attached to the Green Berets before I tried to be one.
Yeah.
And so the reason I wanted to be a Green Beret was because I was attached to Green Berets and I worked with Green Berets every day. And I was like, I got to be you guys. I want to be you. And then when I got to the Q course, these instructors with all their badges of honor, all their airborne wings, all their stuff. And I was like, man, you're just looking at it, you're idolizing, and you're in it. You're in the brotherhood, and you're still like, man, I just want to be you. And when you were looking at that guy, and that dude's hitting some toots, doing a little booger sugar, in the old patties. For those of you who know the industry, they've been a patties. Hear that national anthem played on the fiddle, running a line, and then cheating on their wife. With their sun-tanned wedding ring where they've taken the band off, that's not fooling anybody. You know what I mean? When you see that, you're like, and you think that's, well, he's doing it.
You think that's what you want.
You think that's what you're like, this guy's a fucking rock star, dude, fucking whoever he wants. He's not worried about going home to his family tonight. He's out here at Patty's. It's 2:00 in the morning. We're singing the goddamn national anthem, baby, played on a fucking fiddle. Like, this is America as it gets, bitch.
Yep.
Like, fuck my family at home that's, already in bed. They're already asleep. It's so absent-minded.
Yeah, it's like two separate worlds.
It's two separate worlds.
Which is wild to me.
And some dudes can do it.
Yeah.
A lot of dudes cannot. A lot of dudes can't.
I mean, I can't. That has to be an exhausting thing to keep up. If you are
it becomes
in
normal.
both worlds.
It becomes normal because you're not sleeping as a
Yeah.
Green Beret, as a Ranger. You're carrying heavy things for an extremely long way, and you once you get there, then you're in the fight. Football players, it's so funny. Like, they go really hard for 1 minute and then they get to take a 1 minute break. Like, Green Berets and Navy SEAls, they go hard all day,
Yep.
all night. They get back up again. Blisters, you can barely close your fingers because you were holding on to a 50-gallon water jug for 9 miles and carrying it on your back, 112 pounds on your back. You know, you jumped out of an airplane that day. I mean, in any given day, you might have jumped out of an airplane, made a 9-mile maneuver, stopped in the middle of a swamp, planned out a direct action raid, rehearsed that direct action raid in the swamp, went and did the direct action, got picked up by a helicopter, flew out on a helicopter, 7, 8 o'clock at night, then received a follow-on operation because of intel that you gathered. You're on the helicopter planning another operation, doing a little rehearsal, you're pulling out of your rucksack these little GI Joes, rehearsing it on the helicopter. The helicopter's landing and you're hitting another target. You're getting home at 3 o'clock in the morning. You're cleaning all your equipment. You're inventorying all your equipment. It's now 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning. You're going to bed. You're getting up at 10:30, hitting the debrief, hitting the breakfast. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're getting another op order, baby. And it just goes and goes and goes. So when you get home and homegirl's like, oh, you want to watch a movie? You're like, yeah, sure. Yeah. Oh, it's 9 o'clock. It's time for bed. I'm gonna put Johnny to bed. Yeah, honey, I'm gonna go meet the boys out real quick for. Oh, really? You're not tired? No. I can't go to sleep right now. I'm not tired at all. And then you go out, and then you're like, you convince yourself because there's a pretty girl, and you're like, well, my wife doesn't even like me. Like she's in bed right now.
Oh man, yeah.
She's in bed right now. She's not even. And you're not even thinking about the kid. I'm telling you, I live this. I'm telling you from my own personal experience, and I've seen other dudes do it, and I'm guilty of it too. And you're just like, yeah, you convince yourself, that you deserve this.
You're living in another reality that's existing within everyone else's reality, but it's just you and your buddies.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't until I met a dude from SEAL Team 4, good friend of mine right now. And I'll say his first name. His name is Duke, and a great guy. I've become good friends with him over the years, and he and I just kind of like we get on these rants with each other. We were just like, dude, it's so crazy, and it's like I think he and I we've been talking about working on some kind of a project or something like maybe a podcast episode or something like that. That's like dealing with stress is not creating stress, but we really want to go on this thing. I really want to preach this soapbox for any special operators that see this title. It's just like that special operations title is only going to last you 20 years. That's it. Once you're out, maybe you're still around the teams for 6 more years. You kind of dabble, you get about it, but then they retire, and then the next generation comes. And by about 26, 27 years, nobody's going to know who you are. And you're going to go into that thing telling your fucking war stories. There's another war going on and nobody cares about yours.
Yep.
Nobody cares about you. And they're in it now. You're washed up. And you got to cope with that. But what is going to last forever, or what could last forever, is that wife. And more importantly, those children that you've neglected. You've been chasing your own dreams, but you never instilled any of that into your children. And your children are, just emotionally damaged. So if you're in the industry, if you're thinking about getting into the industry, it's a beautiful industry. It's the most well-trained, the professional, some of the most amazing, incredible human beings. But that's the flaw of that community. And just go into it and say, that's not going to happen to me.
Right.
That's not going to happen. Eric said that when it's 9 o'clock at night and homegirl wants to go to bed, I don't care how jacked you are, dude. Get in the fucking bed.
Yeah.
You don't have to sleep. Just get in the bed and have sex.
There you go.
Do it, dude. Snuggle up into that booty. Manscaped. Promo code Wolfpack.
I think it's important that this, obviously I never served. I have family. My grandfather was. I served as a local law enforcement, but my grandfather was a Green Beret in Vietnam, and he had his whole host of issues. But we always looked at him as we idolized him because he was a good family man.
But I think that was a different generation. Vietnam, they were brand new. Like Green Berets didn't really exist until, on a small scale they existed. But Vietnam is where they really kind of honed in that training, the indigenous, MAVSOC and all that stuff. But but they were still quiet professionals. Like they took pride in nobody knowing what the fuck they were. Like why does that guy got a Green Beret? Like because that's their motto: Deo presse liberators, to free the oppressed, or to liberate the oppressed, or whatever. But the quiet professionals is what you're going to see on all of their stuff. Quiet professionals. And Green Berets still to this day are quiet professionals, but from Sintra Spike and the Pablo Escobar shit and Iran Contra and all these things, like there is this community is small and they're elite within the elites, right? It's like, I might hang out with you and I might be like, yo, Don, you want to do a little tootsie with me? And then it's like now you got 2 Green Berets that are badass fucking elite dudes that are taking a couple of toots. Yeah. And then they're like, hey man, like I think on our next trip, dude, I think I can get us a Connex. We can fill that fucking thing up. You down? Yeah, I'm down. It happens. And now you're a fucking kingpin.
Yep. It happens just like that. But I think it's important for people that don't understand any of that to know that it goes on. It's going on right now. Mm-hmm. People who like a layman wouldn't suspect would be doing that. It's happening. Yeah. Even law enforcement. There's a couple guys in Jacksonville got popped for trafficking like a couple of years ago or something like that.
San Diego Marines just got caught.
It's wild, and it's law enforcement's not nearly as it's similar but very different from like the special forces community. But it's kind of similar in a way.
It's very similar, actually.
With the mentality of
the squads are just as tight.
Yeah, and you're constantly in, all your squad mates are doing the same shit, cheating on their wives, drinking, doing stupid shit. Yep. And it's almost like if you don't participate, they can't trust you. Right. Because like you're going to go tattletale.
Yeah, you're going to tattletale. Yeah. Sometimes, and that's when that's where the leader has to step in. Yeah. That's where your senior guy. And, lucky for me, I was around dudes that were of high moral standard when I was a cop. And so if you were cheating on your wife, you were the bad guy. You were shunned because really you were fucking up, know. And that's great. And that's that's kind of what I pass on now. Like I don't tolerate back in the day, I would tolerate my friends cheating on their wives. Yeah. Yeah. And I get it. Everybody's got their vices and their temptations and things like that. And I'm not saying you can't be friends with people who cheat on their wives, but we can't tolerate it. Sure. And he would be like, yo, did you shack up with homegirl last night? Knowing that he's married, knowing that you're about to go have dinner that weekend with that family. It. But like, in the same token, 2 days prior, you're like, yo, did you fucking that girl at that Hooters? Did you fuck that Hooters? You're celebrating it essentially. And, I think we need to, if you're in the culture, if you're a law enforcement first responder, one, you should be ashamed of yourself for doing it. There's nothing wrong with that. Having a little shame is a good thing.
You should.
It's okay.
Hold you accountable.
Hold you accountable. Mm-hmm. Like you should be like, God, man, I fucking shouldn't have cheated on my wife. You should feel fucking bad.
Yeah, you should.
And then fix it. Yeah. Don't drink about it. Don't dwell on it. Fix it.
Exactly.
Like be like, man, I fucked up. Starting today, it's a new day. I'm not cheating on my wife. I'm going to choose to love my wife because love is a choice. It's not a feeling. Mm-hmm. Can't convince me otherwise. Love is a fucking choice. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to choose to tell my wife she's beautiful. I'm going to choose to tell my wife that I love her. I'm going to choose to do something nice. I'm going to choose to kiss her. I'm going to choose to hug her. I'm going to choose to get this fucking rock hard boner. And I'm going to choose to fucking power driver, cock her down like a fucking WCW wrestler jacked up on steroids.
Cock her down.
Yeah, dude. Pile driver. That's all a choice, and I think that's what Duke and I was talking about was like getting dudes motivated to fucking want to not cheat on their wives. Yeah, like to be like I want to be part of the cool club and not fuck around. I want to be a part of the cool club and be a good fucking dad.
That's the other part. Like you cheat on your wife. Like if you have kids, you're not just affecting your wife.
You got a brown belt, but your kid is a fat piece of shit that's on his fucking video games all day and has anxiety at 11 years old.
That's a reflection of you.
Fuck your brown belt. Nobody gives a shit about your brown belt. Mm-hmm. I don't care if you're a CrossFit fucking gold star medalist. If your 13-year-old is wanting trans drugs and wanting to change fucking things and it's got black hair and candles all over the place and it's to the extreme, right? Where it's more than just the music. Don't look at the candles over here. It's just more than the music, but they got some you're from Ocala. This is all you got. That's fair, different. Okay. That's fair. No, but nobody cares about your CrossFit shit, dude. Mm-hmm. Nobody cares about your Green Beret. Nobody cares about your SEAL Trident. What we care about is, what are you investing into your children? What are you investing into your family? That's fucking cool. That's really cool. Like that's what these influencers should be saying is, how do we create a life? And that's the thing is like, that's what being a professional podcaster, I know this is way off topic, but like I'm on a soapbox today.
It's important.
As influencers, right? We have a podcast channel, 93,000 downloads a week, or a month. and plus other shows on the network, and we are an influence. We do influence people. People want to be Jrama. You're top 5% podcaster in the world right now. We looked at the numbers last night. You're top 5% in the world podcaster. People are going to look up to you. They're going to want to be you. And we've got to create a culture of influencing people to remember the reason why we're building this life right here is not so we can be great and I can say, yeah, I'm a podcaster, I'm a professional podcaster, I'm famous. I met this person, I met that person, I met this person. If you've been around me for more than 5 minutes, you know that the majority of shit I'm bragging about, and I probably should get better at it, is my kids. I'm obsessed with showing you what I have done with my children. I'm obsessed with showing you my wife. I'm obsessed with you hearing that, I'm obsessed with my relationship with my family, because that's what's going to last forever. And I think these influencers, Goggins and things like that, you got to be reminded that you're trying to build this influencer lifestyle so that you can have freedom to be with your family.
Yes.
And you can't get sucked into going on these, like I'm doing Hell Week right now.
Yeah.
And doing that. This is this is a once a year thing for me. It's when you start doing this every week and you're obsessed with the growth and the growth. No. The reason why I'm doing this is so I'm home all the time. So I can homeschool my children. So I don't have the government teaching my kids shit. So I can, put my morals, my ethics, my values into my children and teach them all the things. That's why I'm doing this. Not so I can be famous. I just need some money and a lot more money than being a cop so that I can live the lifestyle that I want to live with my family, traveling and everything like that. It's very easy to leave sight of those goals. And these influencers need to remind you guys that this is your goal. This is why you're trying to be an influencer. This is why you're being a cop. You're not being a cop because you're working overtime so you can make rank, so you can make sergeant, so you can make detective, so that 25 years down the road, you're the assistant chief of the department, but your family sucks. You're on your third wife. Your kids are a fucking basket case. They're ate up with anxiety, ate up with prescription pills because you spent your whole life caring more about the drugs, staying late for no fucking reason. Like we convince ourselves that we have to stay late. We convince ourselves that we have to get all this work done, or not. We have to convince ourselves that we have to study for court because we're going to lose the trial. Who gives a fuck if you lose the trial? And in the grand scheme of things, you're going to pour all that heart and soul and you're going to lose the trial anyway. Yeah. Why not just be like, all right, I'm going to give it a half-ass effort, but I'm going to give a whole-ass effort on playing ball with my kids today. Because who cares? At the end of the day, who cares if you lose that trial? It's not on you.
It's a job.
You're a fucking street cop, dude. You made the arrest. Hey, the job is of the lawyers and the attorneys, not your fucking testimony, your bullshit. But yet we're staying late to go get more evidence and to follow up on this and that. And we become so invested in other people's lives that our lives are going down the shitter.
Falling apart.
Your wife deserves deserves a good dicking down.
And guess what? When you inevitably get in trouble or you get fired or you even just retire in good standing, guess what? How many people that you spent all this time with at work and put all this energy into and really just cared about, how many of those motherfuckers are calling you to check on you? Absolutely
maybe
zero.
3 weeks. Give it 3 weeks and then they forget all about it.
3
weeks will be like, hey, what's up?
The next person comes along and takes your spot and you're done.
You're done.
You don't exist
Nobody
anymore.
gives a shit about you anymore. You go to the squad barbecue, they don't even say hi.
Yep.
Because
you're like not in the club.
You're
anymore.
not in the club.
It's
you don't have
weird.
any of the inside jokes.
It's really fucking weird.
And a big part of my failure to stop, kind of goals or my failure to stop, I don't know,
mission statement?
Mission statement is to really align all the failure to stop team with people who are attempting to live it. And I'm not saying you cheat on your wife and you're off the team, but I want you to be like, oh no, I hope Eric doesn't find out. I hope Jrama doesn't find out. Because back in the department, you didn't care who found out. Yeah. Because there was no shame. They were probably going to fist bump you. Not in our culture. Our culture is like, you did it. We're going to forgive you for it. We're going to love you for it. But we're not going to celebrate you for it. We're going to be like, yo, come on, homie. Like, get your shit together. Take some time off. Get your shit together. But I'm not going to celebrate it.
Right.
And I want to create cultures of leaders, of law enforcement officers, field training officers, EMT field training officers, firefighter field training officers, to be a part of the Cool Guy Club, which is the Cool Guy Club is doing your best you can to be that perfect father, to be that perfect husband. Again, not saying I'm asking for perfection out of anybody. Yep. I'm not saying you can't come to me. You can't say that you're not part of the wolf pack because you're living a nefarious life. But what I want you to do is I want you to feel a little bit of shame. And hopefully over time, that shame will finally just eat at your stomach to the point where you're like, fuck, dude, I want to be like those guys.
Well, that'll make you a better person.
Yeah.
And that's the ultimate goal, right?
That's it.
You want to be the best version of you that you can be. And the best version of you is not giving your all and doing stupid shit to impress other people or trying to be part of this group that ultimately doesn't give a fuck about you.
Right.
Really, genuinely.
Really, genuinely doesn't care.
So,
yeah, I love it. You know, and I feel bad for these Green Berets. And this is a news story, right? This is like within the last 10 years.
this happened, Mark's murder happened in 2018.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then something else happened in 2020 that
What
we'll
happened?
get to.
We're not even there yet? Oh, my God. Okay, continue.
We went on a
My
soapbox,
soapbox is over.
it's important. It's an important message, and I'm all about it. So just to recap real quick, Mark and Billy went to...
With that being said, you wanna cheat on my wife with me? No, I'm just kidding. You wanna run?
On camera live.
You wanna run a line of blow real quick and see where this goes?
I don't have any strippers to do the coke off of, but
Yeah,
you know,
we just watched Wolf of Wall Street last night. Like, let's get some of that action. You
I
know?
forgot about
let's
that.
get fuck you rich and go down to Mexico and just do so much blow. But hey, don't cheat on your wives. You know.
I forgot about that opening scene where her ass is just there, and I was like, oh well, this is awkward.
There was like, we were like having like business conversations last night around the
forgot.
table with anti-hero podcast guys. Like everybody's like, and all of a sudden I'm like, yo, was that a big giant
That's a
ass?
butt.
Is that a dude? Oh, that's Leonardo running a line of blow off a black chick's butthole.
I forgot about that.
I mean, it's right out of her beehole too. Like,
Yeah.
damn, that is extreme.
Yeah.
You can just run that off the top there. You got to right for the old brown eye.
And then I also
Damn.
forgot Margot Robbie's naked in there in that movie too. which
Everybody's naked in that
we
movie.
can all appreciate
Yeah.
naked Margot Robbie.
Wow, there you go.
Or Margot Robbie in general. She's beautiful. So anyway, to recap the story, Billy and Mark are driving. They went down to Disney for the girl's birthday. They went back to Billy's house in Fayetteville. They got into an argument. Billy went inside, locked the door. Mark's daughter unlocked it. He came inside. Billy
Right.
shot him 3 times.
Dead.
This is 2018. It's a justifiable homicide. So he's out. He's doing his thing. He's still in the community. I'm pretty sure he's still, he's still enlisted. And he's just living life like normal.
Jesus.
So nothing really, again, there's not a lot of information on this because, you know, the military doesn't want the truth
Sure.
to come out. But December 2nd of 2020, 2 bodies were found on Fort Bragg, shot to death in the woods off of Manchester Road.
Yep, I know Manchester.
The bodies were identified as Timothy Dumas and Billy Lavigne.
What?
Yes. So I don't know who found him. I can't remember, but they found Billy was inside of his truck, shot to death. Timothy Dumas was lying face down in some pine needles just away from the truck.
Yo. Billy, the dude that killed Mark.
Yes.
Yo.
There's no, it was a homicide. It wasn't like a suicide
Right.
murder.
Oh, drug deal probably.
Yeah, so
I'm thinking like somebody went to trade drugs, money for drugs. There was no drugs, just money. Billy and the boy had it. They get fucking smoked, lose all their money.
So what's interesting about this, it remained completely unsolved. This is 2020, December of
Right.
2020. It was a mystery because the scene didn't make any sense. And Timothy Dumas's truck was found away from the scene. Timothy Dumas had retired from the Army in 2016. Let me make sure I'm accurate. Where's my phone? Both of these men were waiting to go to court for other crimes at the time. Billy Lavigne was just like a hit and run type of a deal.
Just a hit and run. 'Cause he was drunk.
Yeah, probably. But Timothy Dumas was looking at charges of basically home invasion, impersonating a law enforcement officer.
Oh, that's definitely drugs.
I mean, like,
that's
big-
definitely drugs. He knew that there were drugs in a house,
Yes.
and they fucking hit the house and got the drugs. It's a story as old as time.
As old as time. Yeah, we've seen that shit.
That's on gang level shit.
nonstop. Now, the weird thing about this is that it's come out now. Someone has been indicted. Someone by the name of Kenneth Quick. I don't believe he was in the military. It doesn't say that he was,
It's okay.
but he doesn't look like he was, but he was a drug dealer.
Yeah, for sure.
So he's currently serving 5 years
This is all drugs. This is all drug dealing. This is drug trafficking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quick is serving 5 years currently for something that he was convicted of in February of this year, actually. And he was indicted on the murders of Billy Lavigne and Timothy Dumas on August 20, at the end of August.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what that was.
This
like,
year.
Timothy and Mark were doing a drug buy. He needed backup to make sure it didn't go south.
You know what's weird about this, though? I was reading the article, and Quick, apparently it was a couple of other people that were with him that did this. And Timothy Dumas and Billy Lavigne did not have any known ties to each other. So they think that these were two separate homicides, and they just dumped them in the same place.
No.
But that doesn't really make sense.
Nah.
So we're waiting for, obviously, the indictment just happened.
No, this is like one of these, like, yo, Timothy, yo, meet me here in this
Yes.
parking lot. I'm going to pick you up.
They
I got to
knew
do a
each
buy.
other.
I need some help.
They
Because
knew
they're
each
saying that
other.
Timothy and Billy didn't know each other?
Correct.
But they're both Green Berets?
No, Timothy retired from the Army in 2016 as, I forget what he was. I'm not familiar with military terms, so I forget very easily.
Or was Timothy trying to take, I don't know. Who knows? You'll never know. But
I
I mean,
know.
how about this? Like, you don't do fucking drug shit. Like, it always ends up terrible.
So Timothy retired from the Army in March of 2016 as Chief Warrant Officer 3.
Oh, yeah. So he's probably a Green Beret or
Okay.
in special operations for sure. Such a small community out there.
Yeah, so
Such a small community.
And-
And a Chief Warrant Officer ain't no slouch. It's hard to make Chief Warrant Officer 3.
see, I'm glad you're here to tell me this because I don't know. I read that and I was like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, probably a pilot
Okay,
or of some sort.
yeah, So-
Chief Warrant Officers are usually in charge of something and not someone.
gotcha.
But
Okay.
they are officers. You salute them. But, you know, whereas warrant officers are in charge of a plane and officers in charge of a person.
Okay.
Chief warrant officer might be in charge of a chow hall. Like, he's in charge of all the logistics of the hall, blah, blah, blah. He's an officer of that, but he's not really necessarily in charge of people.
He's not leading the
Now, that's a
team.
general description. Obviously, it all bleeds in. Like, I'm
Sure.
sure he's probably in charge of, you know, but there's usually like there would be like a lieutenant in charge of all the people, and then the chief warrant officer is in charge of like the defact, making sure that like it's stocked, and there might be a captain or something in charge of all the people that are getting on the helicopters, but the actual pilot of the helicopter is a warrant officer.
Yeah.
And he's not really in charge of the people. He's in charge
Gotcha.
of a fucking aircraft.
Okay, that
it's
makes
very
sense.
weird. It's a very weird rank, but they are officers. It's very difficult to get chief warrant officers. They're kind of elusive. They kind of follow by their own set of rules because they're not in charge of anybody.
Yes.
You know, they're not really accountable to people. They're accountable to things. So it's very, very weird. But I'd find it very odd that these two dudes are dead together and they wouldn't know each other. Like, nah,
and
I'm
they
not buying
were
it.
obviously,
Maybe I'm wrong, but
well, they would have had to kill Timothy and then move his body because his truck was found a little bit away in like a parking lot.
I mean, it just
somewhere.
looks like, yo, I'm doing a drug deal. Jump in the car with me.
they went together to the
and
same
they went
place.
to go to the same place to do the deal real quick.
Yep, and it went bad.
Yo, come with me really quick. I don't want to do this by myself.
Yep.
All right, I'll meet you in this parking lot. I'm on Manchester Road. All right, dog.
And this Kenneth Quick character, he the indictment reads that there's other people involved as well. So
Sure.
all that's going to come out, I'm assuming within the next few months.
Yeah.
But you know, that's pretty
That's
much
a good follow-up.
Yeah, that's
love
pretty
this
much the
case.
story because there's not a lot to it. The Army covers things up.
Sure.
The local law enforcement was instructed not to give certain things to Leshikar's family.
Right.
And they still are fighting now for some sort of justice, even though Billy's dead.
Yeah.
His murder has officially on the books is justifiable. Like basically,
Right.
it was his fault that he was murdered, which is really, really shitty. So,
Justified homicide.
yes, but that's the case. I mean, it's pretty wild. And
That's
I
a
will
wild
do
case. I'm glad
updates.
you share that with me. I've got a long drive ahead of me all the way to Maryland.
Yeah.
And I know.
luck.
From Orlando all the way up to Maryland. Orlando. But I'm picking up my kids and my wife on the way.
That's exciting.
So they're going to Maryland with me. I haven't seen them in 52 hours, something like that. So I'm jonesing for them.
Yeah.
And I'm going to clean all this mess up. It was so good to be here in person with you.
Yes,
Regis and Kelly,
absolutely.
this thing. We got to do it more often.
It
I think
was
you
so
guys are
much
coming
fun.
up in November.
Yep,
We've got
we'll
a big
be there.
meetup in November. It's an unofficial meetup, but Vinny Montez, the pretty famous police comedian, will be in Albemarle, North Carolina on Saturday for a big fundraiser. I think he's bringing some celebs with him on that. And then the next day, everybody's driving to Raleigh, which is 2 hours away. Mm-hmm. And doing a live show in Raleigh and an after party at the distillery. There's also a Veterans Day thing going on at the distillery on the 11th. So Anti-Hero Podcast will be at the distillery on Saturday and Sunday. They'll have a table set up. I think they're doing a live show from there. First Responder Coffee Company will be there. There's tons of other veteran-owned businesses will have tables set up. At the distillery, there's Veterans Yoga for free that morning at the distillery on Saturday, the 11th,
cool.
November 11th. Free to everybody. You can do it too.
I love yoga.
Well, yoga in the morning. We got live music all day. And then we've got a Veterans Day comedy show that night at the distillery. So big, long day. Again, Anti-Hero Podcast will be there. Jrama from Failure to Stop will be there. I'll be there. Drew Breezy will be emceeing the event in Albemarle with Vinny Montez on Saturday.
That'll be fun.
And that'll be a good one. It's all to raise money for Shop with a Cop and boxes. There's a Cops and Boxes organization. We'll have all this posted on our social media webs. Follow us at Failure to Stop on Instagram. Follow us at Failure to Stop, True Crime. Jrama for... because the channel does 5 or 6 shows a week. So each show has their own individual little Instagrammies that's personal. So if you want to shout out, if you want to be shouted out on the show, if you want to nominate somebody to be shouted out on the show, you can nominate them here. Today's nomination comes out anonymously. They wanted to send a shout out to J.C. Santana, who has been an officer for 16 years in the Raleigh area. And a husband and a father, and so they said a lot of nice things about him, and that was sent to us through the True Crime Jrama Instagram page, and they wanted to shout him out. So we would like to do more than one shout out. So go to that thing. We just started this, but last week, and we announced it. So go to the True Crime _Jrama and leave a private message who you want to nominate, and they will nominate them on this particular show.
Yes.
We still have Last Call coming out tomorrow with the boys. Political news tomorrow. Lots to catch up. I think they're covering the F-35 and all sorts of other crazy shit that's going on out there in the news and political world. That show is just easy. The content writes itself.
Yeah.
Thursday, you got Comm Center. Friday, Big Case Breakdowns. We have a special guest, Angry Man Podcast, coming on from corrections point of view to break down this whole Pennsylvania thing where this guy escaped and how he got caught. So really excited to hear that. So make sure you catch up on that. Go to Angry Man Podcast. You'll see the link or a picture of that in our on our Instagram pages. And if you got anything else, you want to shout anybody out?
Just follow me on Instagram,
you.
and if you're on the Patreon, I've got an email. I know I said it last
Okay,
time.
yeah.
I really want some people to send in some stories.
Oh, that's right, because you and Drew, you and John did an amazing Patreon that was hilarious.
Did you listen to it?
Yeah, we tried to put it out yesterday for the special for Uncuffed because I was gone. There was no video. They deleted the video already, so we couldn't release that one. So we did the Lázaro Lopez Patreon episode that I did with Lázaro Lopez. But I really wanted you and John, but they had already deleted them.
We're doing another one. We're going to try to do it twice a month.
Great.
So we'll
that
film
is
it.
gold. That might be a show one day, depending on how soon I can get John to leave his full-time career.
Yeah.
But listen, I've given him like 3 raises since he's worked for us. So I'm trying to get it to where he leaves law enforcement and it just does this full time with us. And then that I think he would be so great on here, or at least as like a, you don't have to just sit with me. Like some Tuesdays you have him, some Tuesdays you have me, blah 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 blah. But
I'm open to anything. I like John. He's
so funny. Dry, very dry humor.
Yes,
it's humor that I identify with. Like,
yeah.
I don't have that. I have like that more audacious frat boy, kind of like childish, like poopy humor.
Pee pee poo poo.
Poopy poo poos. See, that's funny.
It is funny. I'll give you that.
We could do this all day. Panties.
Oh my god. Penis.
Penis. Penis. God, you got me started. I could do this all day. Butthole. Let me see your butthole. Boy,
Nipples.
this is yeah. Ooh, nippies. I don't know why I said it like super gay like that. Like hanging out with conservative aunt too long.
Oh god.
God, I'm gonna go home and get that all out. You know what I'm saying?
You got to prove to yourself that you didn't get swayed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna get pegged.
Fair enough. Oh.
Wait, I mean, no. I'm just kidding. Guys, this has been another Go Follow Jrama, and we'll see you guys next week right here on True Crime Tuesday.
Stay safe, stay strange, and whatever you do, don't get yourself true crimed.